Welcome to King Lizard's Game Lounge and PlayStation 4 action with Driveclub Vr. So I'm at Black Hills Race Circuit here in the very first Driveclub Vr tour event, which is called BAC in Black in honour of the BAC MONO. So that really made me kind of shock myself there as I nearly drove up the rear of that car. So that was pretty realistic. Did actually like that effect. Nearly lost it there. It really looked like I was going up the back end of a car, and it looked quite, alarming to me in VR. Normally I wouldn't really flinch that much when I'm playing a game, but it kind of made me react pretty differently, shall we say. Graphically it's a little bit lacking compared to Driveclub in general, and that's obviously because the VR isn't as high a resolution, for instance, as the standard games. Being a VR title, now it kind of has a bit of a VR haze to it. I don't know if you know what I mean by VR haze, but if you've played VR before, you'll probably understand what I'm saying. You kind of lose a bit of the draw distance. It looks a bit biddier, doesn't look as detailed until things are quite close to you, which, you know, it's not too bad. I mean, I'm still very much immersed in the game here, and it really does feel like I'm in a BAC MONO. I'm nice and low. I can really feel the road, the sound coming from the VR headphones, which are part of the VR cabling. It's kind of like a little control panel on the cabling for the VR. These sound brilliant. This 3D sound that they've put together for VR is very good and very immersive, and also very loud. I can't hear a damn thing outside of these earpieces. The headphones themselves are, reasonably okay design. They look very mobile in terms of their usage. They've got some spare rubber endings, so that if you've got slightly larger or smaller ear holes, then obviously you can change the earplugs and get a better fit for your ear. And I'm not a massive fan of this type of earpiece. I generally find them quite uncomfortable, but I'll be honest, once they're in a while you kind of forget they're there, so it's not a massive, a big deal or anything like that. The headset itself is pretty light in design. I don't really feel that I've got much on my head at all. So Sony have actually done a really good job of making sure that the headset in itself isn't in any way over heavy, so that it kind of destroys your gameplay or makes you aware of the fact that you're wearing something. So the lightness of this headset is really key to the gameplay, because after a while you really don't notice that you're wearing anything, to be honest. There are a couple of adjustments on the headset itself. One is the visor, which obviously brings the visor in close and far for your viewing pleasure when you're gaming, and there's also a button at the back of the headset which allows you to adjust its circumference, if you like, so that you can fit it over your head and get it comfortable. So I quite like the design that they've done in order to get a good fit for the player. So we're jumping into the replay here. Now, I was a little bit disappointed with the replays. I like this aspect of the replay. You can kind of just look around, see what's going on, look left and look right, so your head movements during the replay do make a difference to what you see. However, there are only a handful of views, and to be fair, this is the only one, in my opinion, that's any good, which I think is a bit of a shame. I'd much rather have seen the multi-angle views that we get in the normal Driveclub as a replay, as opposed to something that is, an attempt at a VR replay. I think if it was VR full, it would have been nice to have a bit more freedom as to what you can and can't see. So it's an okay replay. I mean, at least there's a replay there. There wasn't a replay obviously when Driveclub first came out. That came about 3 or 4 months later down the road from the game's release, which was a very welcome addition. So hopefully, who knows, maybe they'll do something with the replay in this and add a bit more feature to it later on in life. Now, there is actually a season pass for Driveclub VR, which is 15 quid, so probably be similar in terms of dollars, given the pound and the dollar are pretty much worth the same now. So $15, £15 for the season pass. Not too bad, providing they give us something similar in the way of the original Driveclub, which had a massive amount of extra content for very little money. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see some really nice content coming up in the game in the not too distant future. Going back to the headset, when I initially put the headset on, I did have a little bit of fogging going on, so I kind of had to use the supplied cloth. There's a cleaning cloth that comes with the PlayStation VR, and that helped clear things up a bit. So obviously temperature when you put the headset on can give you a little bit of fogging from my first experience. The headset at the moment, I'm not sweating or anything in the headset. It feels quite comfortable, temperature feels okay, so I guess after some long sessions you might get a bit of sweating going on, but for now I'm cool after my first race here at Black Hills Racing Circuit. So this is me reeling in first place here. The finish is just around the corner. Just managed to push that around the corner and keep it pretty close to that there, and then into the last few sections before the finish. Here we go, race over. So this is the second Driveclub Tour event, and it's called Landing Gear, and it is a time trial. So I've got 4 objectives in this time trial, and I had the choice of 3 vehicles. So I could have chosen the Renault Clio RS, the Volkswagen Beetle GSR, which is actually one of my favourites from Driveclub, and a new car, the Renault Megane RS 275 Trophy R. So I've gone for the new car in this instance. So let's see what this Renault Megane RS can do and how it feels. So from a vision perspective, this track seems to be a bit more detailed, and the haze is still there while I'm playing, so that little kind of fuzziness that goes on with VR, but the track actually looks a bit more interesting. I think the fact there's a bit more detail on the track kind of takes away from the lack of detail in the distance, so this looks a little bit better, this circuit, than the Black Hills Racing Circuit. So real tight left-hander here. I'm a little bit hot into there. Managed to avoid hitting that crash barrier. Was a little untidy, but not too bad. So I've got 4 objectives here. The first of which is to break a 1:31 lap time, then a 1:27, and then a 1:24. And then in addition to that, I need to breach 131 miles per hour in this Renault Megane RS, and it really looks beautiful, this map actually. I quite like it. The car itself feels very different from the BAC Mono. It's, I don't know, I feel like I can trust this car a little bit more actually than that BAC Mono after those slide out sessions. This one seems to be telling me its limits, so I'm actually quite enjoying this. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting this at all, so it's quite a nice drive. So this is lap 1. I've done a 1:20 already, so I've blown away all 3 of those time-based objectives. So now the only thing I've got to do is hit 131 miles an hour, which I'm pretty certain I'll have done by the time I hit this end corner, so that's not going to be an issue. So I'll have reeled in all 4 objectives, I'm pretty certain now. A little bit untidy there, caught the corner as I came out. That was my own fault for going in a little bit hotter. Obviously I'm trying to get a slightly faster lap as well at the same time. That was taken a bit nicer. And there's that car, checkpoint car. Obviously if he gets in front of me, I'd fall in deficit of the 1:21. But obviously you can see here I'm on probably for another 1:20 again at the moment by the looks of it. So not too bad a objective, that one, to, you know, tie down if you like. Took that reasonably okay there. That wasn't too bad. Felt okay with the car. And then through that face-off. Wasn't actually planning to get the face-off there. Kind of ignoring those at the moment. Just getting on with the lapping, if you like, or the driving in general. Quick sneak out the side there. Don't feel in any way sick or disorientated. You know, this is cool. Quite nice. Feels a little bit more immersive than standard Drive Club. Obviously there aren't any cars on the track for me to focus on as well and worry about hitting, so all I'm worried about is the environment. But yeah, it looks good, it plays good, it feels enjoyable. Caught that crash barrier again there, second lap running, and this is my last lap I'm going to be doing on this circuit. So nice cut across that corner there, held it quite well. Got to try and squeeze through the next section of S's coming up. Little sneak at the river there as I drive past. And this is, as I said, this is a much nicer looking circuit, this, and as a result you don't notice as much about the detail or the missing detail. So straight through here, managed to pull that off quite nicely. I might even bag this face off. Yeah, managed to reel in the face off unintentionally. That was a nice drive. The car's complaining a little bit on some of these corners with a bit of a squeak, and I can feel it resisting, but in general it's actually a really good drive, this. So that is it. I'm going to back out of this now. I've definitely beaten all 4 of those objectives, I'm pretty certain. So let's do a quit from the session. And there you go. So 1 minute 21:33. So as I expected, there's those time checkpoints. Obviously 1:24 was the fastest time I needed to acquire. I got 1:20, which is quite impressive for me anyway, and I managed to reel in all those other objectives. So going to jump into another tour event now. This is Crystal Lake prize event. Now you do get a choice of 6 cars here. I've actually gone for Ferrari's California. The car I quite liked from the original Drive Club. Really feels fast, this car. It's a good sensation of speed and stuff. Really like the look of the cockpit as well in this. Really nice looking dashboard and stuff. So really good sensation of speed there as we're taking off from the start line. Feels reasonably grippy, a little bit slidey if I push it too hard. Yeah, feel that back end just tweaking a little bit as I'm pushing it around the corner. So it's quite a nice feeling of sensation. Plus with the feedback from the controller and obviously wearing the VR, it's pretty cool. Sensation. Oh, caught up big time there on the crash barrier. Clipped that Golf in front of me unintentionally. There was a squeeze up behind first place here. That sun's a bit blinding there. It's quite a good effect, quite like that. And then push her around, keep my distance, don't want to hit her up the backside here. And he is really pulled away there. Real tight left-hander here. Managed to reel him back in. Another tight right-hander. And then an uphill section. Quick sneak to the side of me to see if I can take this guy. He's getting the lead on me, so I'm not going to catch him on the hill. Whoa! He slowed down quite considerably there for that corner, so that caused me to have a bit of a prang. So let's keep pushing this thing. I don't want to drop off too much there. That slowed me down in a big way, so now he's accelerating, or they're accelerating away quite extensively. Real downhill section. Feels pretty cool in the VR. Again, not feeling any sickness or nausea whilst playing this. Feels just fine. So it feels really good actually. It feels, you know, it feels like I'm driving. Just got hit up the back end there. I think I just drove across the path of another car going around that corner. Trying to reel in first place here. This is only a 2-lap race, so I don't have a whole lot of time to reel this chap in. So it's a nice undertake there on the inside of the corner into that blinding section again, and that is a really nice effect. Careful not to push it too hard. Catch a bit of the snow there where I'm forcing this thing around much faster than I did in the first lap. Got round there okay. Vice versa for the next corner. And then up this big hill. Get a good sensation actually that I'm climbing as well. It kind of feels a bit like that. So if you drive and you're used to that, you know, uphill feeling you get when you drive it, you know, it kind of feels that way in my body, if you like. Obviously it's not that way because it's not real life, but it does give a good effect and hence induce that type of feeling. So across the finish, have a quick look round left and right on the circuit with the VR headset while we're waiting for those results to pop up, which confirms my first place. And I managed to achieve all 3 of the objectives, so finishing in the top 3, 1 minute 33.5 lap time or less, and the best average speed of 57 miles an hour. Now in terms of PlayStation VR, you can see the various views there. As I said before, this is the better of the replay views. Now you can actually turn off the name there. I just clicked in the left stick there to get rid of the name above the cars. Now I use glasses, so obviously one of the questions I saw earlier in the week on another person's channel was about whether you can wear glasses with the VR headset and X, Y and Z, and you can. I'm a glasses user. I don't use contacts, so basically I'm wearing glasses with VR right now. It is comfortable, but you know, if you're a glasses user, you must wear your glasses with the VR. Obviously you can use contact lenses, that'll make it more comfortable and less niggly, and probably a bit better experience, because obviously you do get the fogging with glass, and that can happen on your glasses as well as the internal lenses on the VR. So it'll take away some of those foggy type issues. Maybe it'll make it less likely to occur, if anything else. But if you're a glasses user, yes, you have to wear your glasses while you're playing the VR, and it is possible to wear your glasses. It's comfortable. Initially it's a little niggly when you're first getting used to it, but once you do, you know, it's a no-brainer. It doesn't bother you anymore, or at least it doesn't bother me anyway. In terms of comparing, you know, Driveclub VR with Driveclub, I mean, the biggest differences for me, obviously there's a lot less content in Driveclub VR from what I'm seeing at the moment. And in addition to that, using the VR, obviously you guys aren't seeing what I see in the headset. I'm seeing a 360 surrounding game world with, you know, depth, and it feels a lot more realistic. You know, things make you react a lot differently than you would in a normal game, and as a result it is much more immersive, but at the same time it is at the cost of some graphics. And what I'm finding is, while driving, is that some of these corners are not as clear to me as they normally would be in Driveclub, because of that VR haze and a little bit of degradation of graphics, because obviously the VR headset is not a 1080p headset. I think it's something like 720p. I may be wrong, but it's, you know, it's definitely not at the same resolution as, you know, watching it on full HD on a TV at 1080p. And, you know, initially that might be a concern, but to be honest, VR is a new technology, so obviously at the moment, you know, this is where it's at for PlayStation 4, and it's something I can live with for the extra immersion in the gameplay. It's something different at the end of the day. Now I will be back with plenty more VR games on this channel. I've got a whole ton of VR games in my collection I won't bore you with right now, but I will be back with more gameplays. Please be kind enough to click that like button on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. Take care.